I know that I'm getting old because besides that it's Fox News' 15th anniversary, and by the way, I was 6 then and I didn't even really know what Fox News was, I guess. It had just come out then. I'm not even sure if I knew what half of the news was. As I said, remember I was 6, so I was just figuring out life, and at around that time I'd also, either I was 6 or 7, but either way I'd just become a Christian at around that time, maybe a little later than that time, and I know that, besides that, as I said, Fox News' 15th anniversary, I'm getting old too, because I remember when we first rescued our late cat, and I saw a picture of a dog for one of the rescue sites today, Pets on Death Row, and they had this dog named Chloe who has a leg fracture, and it brings me back to how, I was thinking to myself, even though I could be quite a hypocrite about it sometimes, since I'm human as well, but I was thinking to myself that anyone who wanted a disabled dog to die, anyone who wouldn't rescue a disabled dog if they could, basically needs to go to hell. Because, you're buying all these purebreds and stuff. I mean, what the hell is the matter with you if you can afford a rescue dog? And that's the same way that we were able to do it with Tashi. We were able to afford to rescue her, and yeah, who knows, when I get older I might buy, there is something about, admittedly, having a new dog, a new puppy, or a new kitty, but there is also something about having a rescue pet, especially if you are disabled, and you're like me, and you know what it's like to be in a position where nobody wants you, and you're part of the low case of society. And I remember very much so when we rescued Tashi. Back then she wasn't disabled, and they were going to put her in a shelter though, and they were going to kill her, and not because they wanted to, but because they were getting ready to move and they couldn't find a home for her. This was our then neighbors across the street, and we were like, can we keep her, Mom? Can we have her? And Mom was reluctant about it at first, and I think I've already told this story before, but she was down there, I think, or either in Michelle's room all night. The first night that we got her was around Christmas 2002. She was like, I think it was 2002 anyway, maybe earlier, but I think it was after 9/11. She was like, all night at the door, and we got her, and so over time she eventually adjusted to the fact that she wasn't going to be living at our neighbors anymore. And one time, she continued to go over there when she would go outdoors and stuff, even though the new neighbors were living over there. And one time she got to do a territorial fight because she was over here, and another cat who was an outdoor cat in our neighborhood was over there, and it was just, they would get in territorial fights. It was like, and they never really, as far as I know, they didn't go after each other, but they were mad at each other. And she, like I said, she was here, the other cat was over there, and they were looking at each other from across the driveway, and they were not happy. And then after all that, eventually she got renal failure, and we found her, because she was an outdoor cat, and the problem is she was also a furniture cat, and she had gotten used to jumping on the furniture at the neighbor's house. So when she wasn't outdoors, or when she wasn't allowed out here, we had to put her in the basement, and she didn't mind it, but of course she'd be like at night when she wanted to go outside. And also Mom didn't want her sleeping on the beds, because that would be part of, if she would sleep on the beds, it would be a setback for her in terms of being able to manage a furniture problem, and she still had her claws since she was an outdoor cat. And there were a couple of times where we had to get her off of the furniture and off of the counters and things like that. And so then she eventually got renal failure, and I remember we had to move her upstairs because she wasn't really going to be able to do anything anyway. And we first found her on the heater in the basement, and she just kind of laid there, and she wasn't looking real well, and she was all brown, and she looked really pathetic, and we had to clean her up and stuff. And then then we had to move her upstairs and give her a little makeshift litter box, and she wasn't going to be going back to her old litter box anytime soon, and we had to move her food bowls up there too. And I remember I had to build a little, for lack of a better term, a little handicapped ramp for her so she could get into her litter box. And the reason I did that is because, you know, hey, when I can't get over stuff, it's hard for me, so I figure being disabled, I would be able to do that for her. And I wanted Tasha to live for as long as she could, and she decided that right on the Saturday before August 19th of 2008, she was either going to go outside for one last time or just go outside and die. We weren't quite sure. And then, you know, during that whole weekend, I got mad because they wanted to put her down. And I finally conceded to it and said, okay, we'll put her down. It's been not 19 years, it's been like 16, 18 years. She's dying of renal failure, so we just finally put her down. And of course I got angry. I said, you know, why couldn't she have just died? And so we didn't have to put her through all this. And because I don't like putting down an animal if you don't have to put down an animal. And in the human case, of course, I don't like the death penalty or euthanasia, but that's another discussion. But, you know, and by the way, in terms of the death penalty for humans, if you have to use the death penalty, you have to use it. But again, that's a whole other discussion. And for you know, putting down animals, as someone put it, it's like putting down, or it's like the death penalty for animals when they really don't deserve it, when they really didn't do anything except just got sick, or as they pointed out, just got cold or a leg fracture or whatever. So, well, take care and have a good evening.